I want to see this man's arm, and that's the only way that I will know that you have killed him. Yeah. So they chopped off the arm, and they took the arm to the katikiro, and he saw it, so he was satisfied.
Standing with me here is someone very, very special that will be introducing himself in a few minutes to tell us more about the Martyrs, the history, and on the history of this particular place where we are standing. But very importantly also, he will share with us how the youth who made up the majority of the Martyrs have inspired people like us today. So without further ado, Asa, please introduce yourself and tell us briefly about yourself.
My name is Kasozi Joseph. Okay. I'm a parishioner in this place, and I'm the chairperson for Friends of the Munyonyo Martyrs Shrine. That is the role that I play, and that is the arm that invites people to this place, and also to do some fundraising.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's a good one. So briefly, give us a background of this place, this particular one.
This land that we are standing on is Holy Land. It has the blood of one of the martyrs. However, at the beginning, this used to be, just around here used to be the palace of the king, King Mwanga. King Mwanga was the son of Mutesa II, who took over. Mutesa II invited the missionaries who came here in 1879, the Catholic missionaries, and Mwanga took over in 1885 when his father had passed on. So he was a young man too at that time. And you see, when the missionaries came, they were first in close contact with the people who were in the palace. And these people in the palace are the pages and whatnot who used to serve in the palace. So evangelization actually would start with the people that you know. Yeah. So the future martyrs were the ones who were helping with the missionaries in certain aspects. They would, the king would order them to do certain things for them. Yeah. The king had a palace around here, having had his real palace in Mengo. It was burnt. Yeah. And then he had to shift here temporarily. So that's why he was here. So in the year 1885, we talk about the first martyr, and that is Joseph Mukasa Bali Kudembe. And these were leaders. They were great leaders in the kingdom, and they were highly positioned, very close to the king. So there were people who were in places of prestige. People who were chiefs and people who the king depended on to do certain activities. So Mukasa Bali Kudembe is the first martyr. He was killed in 1885 in November, that is 15th November. And the reason being that because he was part of the people who were working under the king, King Mutesa, Kabaka Mutesa. Yeah. So Mwanga, when he came in, of course, he was still young, and I think he needed some advice. Yeah. So Bali Kudembe was a great advisor, and he would listen to him in most moments. The most unfortunate incident was when Bishop Hannington was coming from the east, and he was killed under the orders of Mwanga, King Mwanga. So the king sought for opinion of what had happened, and he sought it from Bali Kudembe. And Bali Kudembe said to him that, King, this was very wrong. You shouldn't have killed a man of God. Yeah. So the Kabaka became very annoyed. He was very upset. Maybe he was thinking that he would support him. He said, this is a man of God. You shouldn't have killed him. So the Kabaka started becoming a bit uneasy, and then he ordered for Bali Kudembe to be killed. He was killed in Mengo Chisenyi.
Oh.
Yeah, in 1885. So what is so interesting about the Future Martyrs, that when Baliku Dembe was put to death, that very day, the Future Martyrs were agitating to be baptized.
Yeah.
And why do we say this? You know, it would take them a period of 4 years to go through the training and this sort of thing.
Yeah.
So they were not baptized immediately, as we do, because now, presently, we baptize children, babies actually. But at that time, you had to take time. So these Future Martyrs were saying, they are going to kill us as well. So you baptize us. So there were several of them that were baptized on that day, and others just immediately after. So now, after that incident, the Kabaka thought that he had put scare on the martyrs, but these martyrs were made of a very different substance. They had a lot of faith.
Yeah.
They were not scared at all. They continued with going for the instructions from the missionaries, and this took Kabaka really aback. That's why in 1886, the Kabaka, of course, he was not feeling comfortable with the teachings of the missionaries. So somehow, this was something that was bugging him all the time. So one day, and this is how the whole thing, I think, began. In 1886, the Kabaka had gone on a fishing expedition, and when he came back, he found that the pages who were supposed to be waiting for him and giving service to the king had gone for instructions to the white man. So he became very furious. So the first person who suffered that, because he was the one who was there, who was meant to be by the Kabaka's side, it was Dennis Sebugwawo. So Dennis Sebugwawo was stabbed by the Kabaka himself. And after that incident, the Kabaka called in all those who were followers of Christ. And that's what we call the judgment. Because at that time when he called them, he asked them if they were ready to denounce the Christian faith. And he asked those who are not following the Christian faith, you go on my right. And then those who are going for the Christian faith should be on my left. And that's where the sign of strength of faith was demonstrated, because their leader at that time, you see, after the martyr of Joseph Mukasa Baliku Dembe, Charles Rwanga took over the leadership, and they were doing it within the palace. So Charles Rwanga took the hand of the young Chizito, who was around 14, and they moved to this side, and the whole group moved to that side. And they did not have any fear, because for them, they thought that their faith was above any other thing. And this is the test of faith. In fact, what I normally say, that decision was the biggest decision that was taken. And then it followed that there was a walk of faith down to Namgongo. But of course, one thing that you should know about this particular place is association of activities that were here. There was a judgment, and then St. Charles Rwanga baptized 4 other would-be martyrs from here, and Kizito was among them. Mugaga, Gonzaga, they were baptized here. On that day, you can imagine taking baptism when you know that they've already sentenced you to death. It was a sign of great faith. So now, when that all happened, Of course, the martyrs, as they were Catholics and Anglican.
Yes.
So as you see from this particular image that we have behind here, this is called the walk of faith. You can see the executioners, one in the front and the other one behind. So now the one who's holding a rosary was the Catholic, and the other one with the Bible was Anglican.
Okay.
So what was happening in this particular image, as you see it, Charles Rwanga, there was one martyr who was called Mobi Azarwa. He was Anglican. Mobi Azarwa was getting scared. So Charles Rwanga kept on giving him comfort and strength. So they were walking and they were praying and they were singing on their way to Namugongo until the final place where they were martyred. So now, another thing that you should know about this place, that statue that you see up there is a statue of St. Andrew Kagua. It stands in the very place where Andrew Kagua was martyred from. And the story behind Andrew Kagua, on that day of martyrdom, he was not even around. But of course, there was the chancellor or the catechumen at that time. He thought that Andrew Kagua was a very famous person and one of the favorites of the Kabaka, because he was a musician. So he was in charge of the royal music, and the Kabaka liked him so much. So this catechumen at that time was a bit scared that this man may become a catechumen to replace him. So he requested the Kabaka, because he mentioned that this gentleman is one of the faithful, much as is not here. But if you do not deal with him, the fire of Christianity will continue. So what should be done is that we should sentence him to death. So the Kabaka allowed the catechumen to take over that role. So now you see in that statute, Andrew Kagua has only one arm. And the story behind it, Andrew Kagua, the catechumen, because of the threat that this man may take his post, he wanted to make sure that Andrew Kagua is killed. So what he did, he ordered the executioners that I want to see this man's arm, and that's the only way that I will know that you have killed him. So they chopped off the arm, and they took the arm to the catechumen, and he saw it, so he was satisfied. So they tied him on a tree and then pierced him. Then afterwards, when he was his life had been taken, they chopped him in 2 pieces, and then his body was thrown down there where the tomb is. It's down there. So that's where his body was put and buried by later, much later, because the body, most of the flesh was eaten by the wild animals and the birds and the sort of thing. So the body was down there. So this is a very, very special place, and this is a place where the Pope came, because this is the origin of the road to martyrdom for all those that were martyred. Yes. So Namugongo was the final place for execution, because that is it was a special place for that. There was firewoods were there and not everything. So they took these people to that place. Yes.
Wow. It's a very interesting journey down the road of history. Thank you very much, sir, for that very interesting information. Maybe lastly, in 40 seconds, how did this place become established? When and how was it established?
Yeah, for a very long time, You see, after the martyrdom of Andrew Kagua, and because of faith, you know, after the martyrs, Christianity became stronger.
Yeah.
And the teaching, and then even the people who became Christians believed in what had happened, that these people had gone to heaven and this like. So people would come down there at that place and pray. So sometime in the 1970s, the archdiocese decided to build a chapel over the tomb, and then put a cross that was standing there where the martyrdom spot is, and so the place was preserved. So it is only in 2015, around 2014, when we got the Franciscan